boys and girls. So this is going to be episode 25 of the now somewhat famous
David
and Herman 7th grade science show. This is going to be on probably our last section of the school year, and you're going to like this. You're going to like this. So you're going to extract DNA from your saliva, okay? And then you're going to chill it with some really cold rubbing alcohol, which you probably have in your bathroom. And then you're going to make your own, from that, your own DNA chain, and you'll see what your DNA looks like in a long chain, because DNA is a really long freaking molecule, okay? So we're ready to go. We have to patch on to another lab of previous times, so we're just going to cut over, and then it'll pick up to the DNA and on saliva. So you'll need some help from your parents to get some ice cold rubbing alcohol and some salt. You ready?
I'm ready to go.
So we'll patch it in. Thank you. We're out of here. Okay. Good morning. So today's lab is going to be about using soap, everyday soap, washing your hands real well to stop viruses and diseases. We're going to do that to show how simple soap can break down the DNA even in your mouth, and you can be able to see the DNA, your own personal DNA. So to do this lab, there's some things I need you to do in advance to get ready for it. First thing I need you to do is ask your parents for some isopropyl alcohol and put it in the freezer and make sure it's cold. It is called isopropyl alcohol. It doesn't matter if it's 90% or 70%. Most of them are 70%. Every store's got it. Every drugstore's got it. It's called rubbing alcohol. And put it in the freezer, a small part, not very much of it, and that will just get it cold for our last step. The second thing I need you to do is make a salt solution. The salt solution is going to require you to put a teaspoon of salt in 6 ounces of water. So I take some salt and I measure out a teaspoon, and I'm sure your mom's got a teaspoon around the house. We measure out teaspoon of salt and 6 ounces of water. And so if you have a measuring cup, and I add 6 ounces of water. There we go. And if you have a measuring cup, it'll tell you right on the side. And then I'll need to stir that up. When you use a stirring rod, I'll need you to use just a regular straw, or if you have an old plastic paintbrush, that would work too. Preferably not anything that wood, because wood will change your effects. So that's the salt water. Put that aside, we'll use it later. The next thing I need you to put together is some soapy solution. This solution is 1 part soap to 3 parts water. So I'm going to have a little measuring device. That's too big. I'll use a little tiny spoon, 1/4 of a teaspoon. So whatever you use, that 1 part soap, and 2 parts water, or 3 parts water. 1. And that's the soap solution. We'll be using that later, and we'll put it aside. To do this lab, you'll need, if you don't have test tubes like the old test tubes that I had when I was your age, you can use little measuring cups like this that the salsa comes in, small cups around the house. Or I went down to the Dollar Tree. I found these rosebuds. These are the rosebuds. You get 6 of them for $1. They worked out really, really well. A vase, any kind of vase. If you've got a small bud vase around the house, their last step you'll need to mix in something that's tall and slender so you'll be able to see the DNA as it tries to escape. Okay, if you have those things ready, and the isopropyl alcohol, or the rubbing alcohol, is getting cold over here, we're ready to begin. So we're going to show that soap is the best way to break down viruses, because viruses have their own DNA, and you can destroy that DNA by putting soap around it. Okay? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our soap solution, stir it up a bit, and I need you to get as much in your mouth as you can. So you're going to put in a little bit of soap solution to your mouth, about that much, and then you're going to hold it and swirl it in your mouth for 30 seconds. So put it in your mouth and swirl around for, I'm sorry, salt solution. I said soap? I'm sorry, salt solution. Here we go. Now we need a full mouth of it, and you're going to swirl it for 30 seconds. Once we do that, we'll stop the camera because it gets pretty boring. Here we go. And that's pretty gross. So there we have our salty saliva and soap solution. We'll put it aside. Now, this is where we have this little container. I need you to measure just a teaspoon of of your salty saliva and put it in this container. So the best way to do that is to use a graduated cylinder, which you might not have. If not, you have this cup and you've used teaspoons. And so you pour this in to the first level of the teaspoon. So I pour some of this in here. And then I take soap solution. That tasted awful. And I pour the same amount of soapy solution. Remember, we have water and soap together here. And I pour that equal amounts. Now, we stir it just slightly. I want you to let this sit for 2 minutes. Don't shake it, because then we get all sorts of bubbles and that screws up the solution. But as it sits there for 2 minutes, you'll look carefully at it and you'll see it starts to break down your saliva. Look closely and watch it. And so now we're going to pause the camera for about 2 minutes, okay? Pause the camera. Alright, so we're back. That's been about 2 minutes. Now, I don't want you to shake it vigorously, but you want to rotate it around a bit, and you'll see some stuff building up inside of there. You have it. Now it's been 2 minutes. And the soap has attacked the DNA in your saliva. Now, you take the cold isopropyl alcohol and very carefully pour it softly down the edge until you get about another teaspoon or so. And wait till it's about the same height as your solution, and you'll see it separating. Can you get it? Zoom in close, Mr. Photographer. Now get your straw and watch it. What you see bubbling to the top is your DNA. You see the little strings coming up? The little strings coming up. There you go. See those little strings coming up? That's Mr. Hilke's DNA. And we can clone that and make a couple of Mr. Hilkes, or a couple of you. See the DNA strings? There they are. There they are. That's DNA that the soap has extracted from your saliva. You see the strings of DNA? Isn't that cool? Mr. Photographer, is he showing? I guess that means yes. Okay. Anyway, so that's your DNA. Congratulations. And that's why soap works so well to break down virus on your hands. All right? So you watch the 2 videos. You watch the video of this one plus the longer one on the commercial one, and you get a sense of how it works. Okay? So that's very good. Thank you. Oh, the 2 you see our 2 new members are doing what they normally do. Sleeping. Okay. Talk to you later. Goodbye.